How's it going? Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Glad to have you back. Tuesday morning. Okay, so we got the markets to take a look at. We got some moves that have been taking place. We can also take a quick look at the data that was recorded by the banks. So I'll bring that up as well. Let's take a look here. Data, positions of the banks, and see what they were doing. Good to see you all. I see some of you are. Alright. Okay, so here we have gold. And if we look at the positions of the banks, we can see that they just took some of their long positions off and also took some of their short positions off. So not very helpful in terms of their positioning. But when we look at the dynamic of what is taking place on the charts, things really haven't changed since we last spoke. Okay? Things are pretty much sitting at the same spot where price rallied up from major demand on the charts and is rallying up towards this area of supply. Okay? But it hasn't yet contacted that supply. It's like sitting in the middle of the ocean now. So it all depends on whether or not the wind picks up on the sales and causes price to continue its rally up. We had a good brief moment of momentum here, and then it paused. Then we had a brief momentum to the downside, and then it paused. So is it going to continue this week? We don't know. We're ready in Tuesday, and if we look at the daily chart, we see that it's continuing to sit sideways. Okay, so if it breaks through here with the close, likely we'll see a continuation into that area of supply, and then potentially even higher, since the weekly area of supply is located higher. So that is what is likely going to take place, but who knows? Things can always change, so we'll wait and see. Let's hit the like button. How many likes we got there? 11 only? Come on, let's get it up to at least 30. Let's get it up to at least 30 today if we can. If you can help by doing that, I'd appreciate it. What about oil? What's going on with oil? So oil dropped down into the area of demand. Look at that. Just touched that area of demand and then shot up like a rocket. Why? Well, because we have a weekly uptrend and we have demand. So when you have demand and an uptrend, that's what typically happens. So we see an increase 593 to 601. So they increased their longs, okay, as price came into demand. So to be expected. They also increased their shorts. So that was to help price get down into demand, that increase in shorts. Don't think that's going to be holding that those highs for too long. We'll probably see them reduce those short positions very soon. And so let's take a look at the oil chart. Let's see what it's doing this week so far. Okay, so now we are seeing a reversal after a push up from demand. Okay. Now, on the monthly chart, we've been talking about something important. Okay. We've been talking about, let's shut that down. We've been talking about how this area of supply has been removed. Okay. Right there. That was a major obstacle for price. And price could have used that demand to facilitate, or use that supply to facilitate a move much larger to the downside, but that's not what took place. What took place is the banks removed this area here. Okay. Now it's not a very strong removal, but at the end of the day, it still has been removed. So what could potentially happen now is we could see a drop down until the meat of this demand zone gets contacted, and then a rally from there. That is very possible, okay? And if we take a look at the weekly chart right now, we can see that the trend line was being hugged very closely here, but now let's take a look at this candle here. This candle here is putting everything in jeopardy. All right, and look how far down we are. We're in Tuesday, so we're in the second day of the week, technically third because price action actually started on Sunday. So we got to be aware of that, because if this stays down here for at least 2 more days, then it's likely that this trend line is going to be not holding price any longer. And then we can see a bigger drop in price. So this typically doesn't happen unless price was going to go lower. So that is what I'm suspecting will take place. Okay, is we'll see price drop like that. So we'll keep an eye on this one and enter it, but it does look like that's going to take place. What's next? The dollar. So the dollar contacted supply, and then we saw a decrease in price, which is what we've been expecting, right? And as price decreased, we saw an increase here on long positions from 28,000 to 31. Okay, but remember, that candle went higher into supply, so you would need long positions to do that. So the fact that they added long doesn't throw me off here. At the same time, we see reduction from 16 to 15, and then price then drops the following week. Okay. Coloration of the cells here, the neutral sentiment is live and well, even though net positions are in the positive 16,000, the sentiment is neutral. All right, so let's take a look at what the dollar is doing now. All right, so we have a 4-hour chart that we're looking at here. And price was traveling to the downside. And then what happened is it created some demand down here. And now price is contacting that demand for a second time. Now I can tell you this area of demand is being constructed off of this area of demand here on the daily chart. So there's a good chance that it holds and propels price up. Okay? But this area of demand here on the daily chart is not being created off of a higher time frame area of demand. The only thing we're contacting right now is supply. Okay? And that's on the weekly chart, and it's also on the monthly chart. So that supersedes everything on the lower time frames. Okay? Can we get short-term moves to the upside off these areas? Yeah, sure. Of course we could. Okay? But over the longer period of time, we wouldn't expect these areas to hold. We would expect more of a downside. Okay? So that's pretty much what we're looking at in terms of the dollar. Aussie, we had price contact some demand on the weekly chart, and we see that there was a slight increase in long positions, 57 to 57.4. Also increase in short positions. Now look at how aggressive short positions are becoming. Okay? Short positions are becoming aggressive. Now, we've talked about how Aussie and gold are somewhat aligned with each other. And what were we just saying with gold? That it's sitting in the middle of the ocean, but our expectations are that we'll see some bullishness kick in, right? Okay, so when we start to uncover evidence to suggest certain moves in the markets, what we like to do is we like to look at the other markets, especially the ones that are correlated with them, to determine if we're seeing evidence there to suggest that moves are going to take place that would complement what we are seeing, okay? And so what we're seeing here in terms of the Aussies, we're seeing that We have the shorts are very aggressive. So what does that mean with the shorts being very aggressive? Okay, that means that they're at least at one point or another going to take profits on these short positions. Okay, they can't keep on adding short positions forever. Eventually, they're going to have to take profits. Now, if they're adding a lot of short positions, it usually causes price to decline. But if they close off short positions, it'll usually cause price to rally up. So I'm going to be focused on looking at that for the Aussie to see what it is that they do. I'm suspecting that soon they will start taking profits on those short positions, and that will fuel a move to the upside on the Aussie. All right. So I'll be watching for that and see if that is indeed going to be timed with what takes place with gold. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, yeah, there's still room for price to drop if it wants to drop, but you know it's difficult to say if that's indeed going to happen because you know they'd have to continue pushing down right through this area of demand, which means they would have to continue adding shorts, which is very possible. It's very possible. But over the longer period of time, we would expect price to be heading upwards. Okay, so either drop and then rally, or rally from here is likely to be what's going to happen. All right. The USCAD. So this one's an interesting one. So let's flip over to the USCAD and see what we are seeing now. Excuse me. Now remember with the USCAD that as USCAD goes up, that means the Canadian dollar is getting weaker. And what were we just saying in terms of oil? What were we seeing signs of? The trend line breaking. So if that trend line breaks and there's nothing to hold the upward structure of oil, meaning weakness. Okay? And what are we seeing on this chart right now? We are seeing some strength. Okay? We've already seen a supply zone get taken out here on the 4-hour chart. So that's a check mark for the upside. Okay? Actually, we could do it like this. This has been taken out, so that's a check mark to the upside. Okay. We have supply holding. If this gets taken out, then it'll be a check mark to the upside on the daily. And then if we examine the weekly chart, we have an area of demand that's currently in play. Could price start heading higher? I guess it's possible. Right? If we get two check marks, one here and one here, it could definitely lead to a mover, a big mover like this up on the weekly chart. Okay? But again, let's take a quick look at the dollar. And what are we seeing with the dollar? Demand being hit, right? Demand being hit. Could this facilitate a move higher, like I was saying? Yes, it could. So, would that help fuel the USCAD to rally? Yes, that potentially could happen. Okay, so let's keep our eyes on that one for this week. We look at positions. Sentiment is neutral. And they've been closing off short positions, right, with the profit taking. Right. But over the last few weeks, what they've been doing with longs? Cooled off territory into slightly aggressive. Okay, could this momentum continue? Yes, it could. And then we can see a push up like that. So let's keep our eyes on that. US Swiss franc, longs are cooled off, shorts are still aggressive. So let's take a look at the chart and see what we got. It looks like price gapped up and then heading lower, and we got this area of demand. You can see a rally from there form. Yeah, it's possible. Nothing high odds, but sure, it's possible. Okay. And we got Euro, shorts getting aggressive, long still holding in there, and we're seeing price rally up from demand. So we took a long trade. That worked out extremely well on the Euro from the lows. So that one worked out extremely well down here. Okay, and potential for another one. Let's look at the pound. Right. So the pound, we got that slight push up, right? But it's being dictated by the other charts. Remember where I mentioned that? Okay. Being dictated by the other charts. Whatever the other charts do, this one will do. Okay. So there's nothing on this chart that is going to dictate what's going to happen. It's basically the other charts that are dictating. Okay. And then we got the US dollar, Japanese yen. So this one, we were responding to some supply at the highs. So we were expecting that, right? Okay, we were expecting that it to contact supply and then put pressure to the downside. And now we are definitely seeing that pressure to the downside. Okay? Very good. Very good. You see how everything comes together like that? Okay? Everything just comes together so nicely. And in terms of the data, there's nothing really to indicate that this drop was taking place. Look at shorts, right? Hold off. Yet we're still seeing the drop. Longs are the bigger position, but we're still seeing the drop. So the supply and demand on the charts are really what is playing this out right now. Can't be focusing so much on the positions from the CoT report to determine direction, more so what the charts are dictating. We can take a quick look at Euro Japanese yen. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be somewhat heavy because of the with the US dollar Japanese yen. But we could expect more downside on this one over time. If the US dollar Japanese yen continues to drop, for sure. Okay, and last one, Kiwi. Still was sitting inside that area of demand. We don't see anything in terms of positions, neutral sentiment, so nothing to really guide us in terms of any direction. Okay, and that's about it. Those are all the majors and their positions. So we got our eyes on some pairs for trades. In a bunch of trades, closed out a bunch of trades for profits, which were really nice. And so July, we had a fantastic month, a really great month. We expect to have the same in August. Just got to be patient now, wait for things to set up, wait for the trades to play out. And that's about it. All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk to you later. Enjoy.